Okay, this is my submission for homework 4. For question 1, example 11.8, it was asking to write a script that produces random limericks. Polishing this program to produce good limericks is a challenge problem. So I took the words from the question before it, which was question 11.7. Okay, so over here we're defining different arrays. We have the different articles, nouns, verbs, and prepositions. Then we created a function that will generate sentences. It will pick from random articles, random nouns, verbs, and prepositions. And then it will pick another article and noun for the last part of the sentence, and then combine it into a full sentence. Once that is done, it will build a 20-sentence story with the opening line, once upon a time, and ending with the end. So any girl walked over the boy, the car drove over some girl. For question 2, this is example 11.9. We're writing a script that encodes English language phrases into Pig Latin. So from prior tests before, I did write in a couple. We're just going to write hello world, and then it translated into LOI world way. And we're starting here. The user types a sentence. The submit button is the translate to Pig Latin. I did add to remember the user's prior information, which is the session start. The function will convert one word into Pig Latin. So it gets the first letter of the word, and then the rest of the word but the first letter. And it will combine the words. So it should be rest of the word plus first letter plus the ending of AY. Once that is inputted, it checks to see if the form was submitted and has input. And then it gets sentence user inputted, split sentence into array. It will create a new array to hold Pig Latin words. The for each loop will go through each word and convert to using the function. Once that is done, it combines the Pig Latin words back into one sentence, and then saves the sentence to the session to show the results, and adds the sentence to the history, which it will be in the output box. For question 3, example 11.11, we're reverse tokens. Write a script that inputs a line of text, tokenizes it with string method, split, and outputs the token in reverse order. If I put in Jesse, the reverse would be Jesse. Oh, let me see. Hello, world, hello, hi there, hi. So let's see. This over here checks to see if the form was submitted and that the text box is not empty. Get sentence user type, breaks sentences up with spaces, reverses order of words. The words go back to sentences with the implode, and then it will display the final sentence into the output. For question 4, this was example 11.14. It says write a script based on the program in exercise 11.13 that inputs several lines of text and uses string method index of to determine the total number of recurrences of each letter of the alphabet in the text. Okay, so if I put my name, count letters, we'll see 2 E's, one I, one J, two S's, which in turn does spell my name. Let's see. For my letter counter, so here it tells the user to enter multiple lines of text. This over here gets the input from the form, converts all the text to lowercase, and then this array will store 26 letters. The for loop goes through each character in the text, and it checks to see if the character is a lowercase letter and converts the letter to an index. So letter to number to classify how many of each letter is in the word. In return, it reprints each letter and its count. Index becomes uppercase, and it will show in the output box. For question 5, the date format, example 11.22. The question asks, to dates are printed in several common formats. Write a script that reads a date format in HTML5 form and creates a date object in which to store it. Then we're using the variant methods to date object. Okay, so we do have convert date event, which is the date input. We select the date picker, submit button, and then the output is displayed. The function that runs when the form is submitted. So we get the selected date from the input box, and then we have a string that contains the date in different formats, so various date formats, and then we have the different displays, string with time and time zone. We have the weekday, month, and day. Based on the user's location, universal time format, useful for databases, which is the ISO format, and the display formatted dates in the outputted box. Going along, we have question 6, which is the states. This was example 19.7. The question asks for states ending in XAS should be in element 0, which was Texas. Over here, okay, so we created a string that contains multiple states names, which is Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, Massachusetts, and Kansas. The string eventually turns into an array, meaning each state will become one element. And then we start to match the states. So we'll find words that end in XAS, separated into with the words that start with K and ends in S, which is Kansas in element 1. Find words that start with M and ends in S, which is Massachusetts, element 2. And then we have words ending in A, which is Alabama, and we have that in element 3. First word starting with M, Mississippi, which is in element 4, and then we displayed all matched states into the box. Going on to question 7, which is example 19.8. We're checking the email format, and we're verifying that the email is in correct order. So you can see we have that here. If I write anything in it, it will show as no, the email is not, it's not a valid email address. And then we have the expression pattern. We have the start of the string, one or more word characters, end of string. This is the pattern. And then again, if you don't put in a valid email address, it will show you an X and tell you that it's not valid. If it is valid, it will show you a mark to show you that it was successful. And last but not least, we have question 8, which is submitting a URL format. I did have to go into my XAMPP and I clicked on shell. Once I clicked on shell, I inputted some information to show me the URL description, and then www.dietl.com and then php.net. Once that was done, I got into my form and this is where we start entering the URL and description. Then to connect it to the MySQL database, we have that over here. We check that the connection works. If the form is submitted, it gets the values entered by the user along with special characters. SQL command to insert new URL and description. It then runs SQL command and then it will show success or error message. Show all URLs stored in the database. Results will be displayed in the table over here, and then it will show each row of data from the database. And that is my submission for homework 4.